So apparently, I still have a YouTube channel. It's been a while, a long while, but between medicine postings, assignments, and pretending I have my life together, we are finally back. And today's vlog starts with one of the oldest clips of me staying in my medicine posting era before we somehow end up in a beautiful remote village for community medicine postings. After blessing our eyes with this beautiful view, we finally reached the family, and surprisingly, the family was so welcoming that we had a very great time there. And the community medicine department asked us to make a chart on spot because it was some World Health Day and they needed it for some pictures thingy. The next day in PSM posting, this is our walk through the fields on the way to the Anganwadi center. From there, the view of our college looked surprisingly beautiful standing in the middle of greenery. Everything felt peaceful until one of my classmates suddenly fell, and being a very supportive batchmate, I had to keep on recording. After getting distracted throughout the way, we finally reached the Anganwadi center, where we learned some basic community health practices, got our height and weight checked, and calculated our BMI. But wait, this was not the main highlight of the day. The main highlight was completely unplanned mini picnic in the fields just next to our college. What is this?
अरे मेरे हाथ सफेद हो गए सी माय हाथ और अगेंस्ट पीला होना तेरी कहाँ आइसक्रीम वो यार जितनी थी हो रही है हाँ वेरी गुड चटनी अच्छी है पता है इसको रखो अरे रॉकी को दे दो ना रॉकी
Because apparently postings weren't enough for a day, I came back and randomly decided to become a chef. There is something oddly comforting about cooking after a long, exhausting day, especially when experiment actually works. I was so proud of the final result that I forgot to film it before eating. ENT posting today started with us entering what honestly looked like an interrogation room, but it was actually a soundproof room used for some hearing tests. The room was completely soundproof, but unfortunately not stress proof, and we had to keep on studying. And I'm really sorry for the echo in the voiceover because I literally recorded it in the lane of our corridor and around some 11:30 p.m. We were given a topic about tonsillectomy to study because in the coming days we had an OT visit and the surgery there was going to be a tonsillectomy. After the classes and postings, we went out to buy some groceries and then came the OT day, probably the day everyone had been secretly waiting for since entering med school. But before the clinical postings, we had some classes in the morning and you can see my excitement because this bag right here contains my slippers for OT. After attending two whole classes of microbiology and pharmacology, it was a time to head for the postings. And genuinely speaking, उस दिन के मौसम की भी कुछ अलग ही बात थी. And I'm not sure if I'll continue speaking in Urdu or Hindi in my vlogs because it seems like I am a poet. It was my first time experiencing a live surgery, so obviously we had to do the mandatory scrub transition and OT fit check because apparently scrubs automatically make everyone feel 10 times more professional. Inside the OT, we got to observe a tonsillectomy live. However, I could not record anything because the rules there are really strict. Back from the postings, my friend challenged me if I could make a fried rice better than the cafe outside, and I accepted the challenge and made it the best fried rice she could ever have. After spending long hours confined indoors with books, notes, and the usual med school chaos, we finally stepped out for a while, almost like reclaiming a small piece of peace. It was a calm, windy evening, the kind that makes everything feel pause for a while. No urgency, no noise of deadlines in the mind, just the campus quietly existing around us. Our hostel is right on the banks of the Chenab, and watching that vast river flow beside our everyday routine still feels unreal sometimes. Our campus is usually quite dusty, but that day the wind was doing something almost dramatic with it. The dust was lifting and swirling in the air, glowing in the sunlight like tiny particles of gold caught in motion. Then there was this light, sunlight piercing through the clouds in a way that almost felt divine, genuinely felt like the sky had opened slightly. Little reminders that even in the intensity of med school, there are still pockets of silence, light, and meaning if you're willing to look up. After getting back to the hostel, me and my friend decided to study for a while, but the room was so suffocating and crowded that concentrating there felt impossible. We went upstairs to the corridor instead. We sat there for hours studying, talking in between, and getting distracted every 5 minutes. And because hostel students have a very different level of creativity, I had to light a fire at that very place to cook noodles. After that little study and noodles break, we finally packed everything up and headed back to our rooms. The next few clips are from one of those quiet library days where you go in feeling motivated, and come out mentally exhausted. There is something oddly comforting about the library experience, though. Everyone sitting silently with their own notes and deadlines, collectively suffering in peace. I started to unpack my essentials and then looked for a place to sit. This is basically a standard starter pack for pretending to have your life together academically. Now was the time to head back to the hostel. A new pathway has recently been made for us by cutting through this huge mountain like area, so the entire route now looks extremely dusty, dry, and slightly capable of hosting a survivor reality show.